Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and today I wanted to continue my Picking the Right Ship by Category series, and this time we're going to be focusing on what I would consider to be Tier 2 cargo ships. Basically, prices under $200 and over the $60 we capped the last video at. Now, if you haven't seen that one yet, and you're looking for a cheaper cargo option, then I would pretty much consider starting with that video and then coming to this one if you need more. The areas that we focused on when talking about cargo were having ample cargo space, good range, and to some extent an ability to protect yourself. Also, we're going to be discussing cargo and some standard cargo unit measurements, but as ships change and go through the development process, some of these changes are more likely going to change, but they are at least the numbers that we have today, so even if they're not totally accurate, it's at least going to give us an idea of the cargo carrying capacity. Finally, ships are listed with crew size, and since ships get more expensive as cargo size increases. When the ship gets bigger, it generally means it comes with more crew. So I'm going to try and read through the lines and suggest how many crew would be a good fit for each ship, not necessarily how many are required or listed by CIG. So if we start this off with the cheapest option in the Tier 2 category, we're going to be looking at the Hull B from the Hull series. Now, like the Hull A that we discussed in a prior video, the Hull B is a single-person craft that's really designed to carry its cargo on an external lattice structure towards the center of the ship. The Hull series is amazing at carrying a very large supply of cargo compared to its size based on the external carrying form factor. And with each increment, the cargo capacity jumps wildly. When we last talked, we said the Hull A carries 48 SCU of cargo, which is damn impressive for a ship at, of that price. But at $90, we have the Hull B, which jumps up to a wild 384 total cargo. So for a 50% increase in price, you get an increase in cargo at a factor of 8 times the lower model. Powering that is going to be 2 engines, which may seem underwhelming, but the stats page currently lists them at size 8, which is incredibly large. My gut says that those numbers are probably going to end up changing some, but the idea is that you get huge engines to move huge cargo, regardless of what that numerical size ends up being. That doesn't mean the ship's going to be fast, not only because the ship is big and heavy, but also because they're probably tuned for low-end power to help get the ship started and stopped. Now, another drawback to the ship is maneuvering when fully laden is probably going to be pretty poor. And also from a protection viewpoint, there's no turrets, so you're going to be limited to very few weapons on this ship, and those are going to be located at the front. So basically, you're looking at a ship that can't maneuver well and is going to be limited to shooting from the front. So you can't count on doing much, if any, damage to smaller and faster targets. Other drawbacks to the Hull line is with the cargo on the exterior of the ship. It's more susceptible to damage or potentially just being blown or broken loose. And with it being out in the open, it's going to be easier to scan the contents than something else that contains the cargo towards the interior of the ship. Now, that sounds like a lot of negatives, which it kind of is, but the amount of cargo able to be moved for the price alone makes it a real contender and something you probably need to look at. Now, there are some redeeming factors like the overall efficiency of the ship and the low crew requirements, both of which mean you can go long range and not spend a ton in fuel, which potentially opens up new trade lanes, and you're not paying for a lot of munitions or crew cost either. Now, in the Hull series, there's only 2 that can really land on planets when fully laden, being the Hull A and the Hull B, so you could use this to do massive drop-offs to outposts on planets. The lack of ability to defend yourself means that this is a really good option for conducting business in safe space, but keep in mind that you can always hire escorts to help keep you protected on more dangerous runs, but that is going to increase your operating cost. It's not really a one-stop shop hauler for all of your potential hauling needs, but for core mechanics of getting goods from A to B, it's a really great place to start. Now, moving past the Hull B, I'm going to actually jump to the most expensive ship on this list because a lot of what I just said applies to that as well, and that's going to be the Hull C. The Hull C comes in costing $200, which is a little over twice the cost of the Hull B, but we do get an even larger growth factor when looking at it carrying 12 times the cargo of the Hull B at 4,608 SCU. That's a crazy jump. It's a staggering number, but it's an awesome jump if you're willing to pay for it up front. The primary difference between the ships outside of cargo carrying capacity are that the Hull C gets a little bit more ability to protect itself with 2 turrets, but that also comes with the requirement of 2 more gunners. Whether that be AI or friends, it does increase your cost of your operation. Additionally, the Hull C is the first in the line of 5 that's actually unable to land on planets because it carries the cargo on the sides of the top, and the bottom of the lattice structure, whereas the smaller ones don't carry it on the bottom. So if you're fully laden, you're unable to set down with your ship, and you're relying at unloading your ship at a space dock or having an MPUV fleet or smaller Hull ships to really offload that cargo for you and take it down to the planet's surface. Now, depending on how the configuration of the cargo lattice ends up being, it's possible that we may get to a point where you can fold up the bottom units and just carry cargo on the sides and top, but we haven't gotten confirmation on that being, at least to my knowledge, so we can't really count on that. And speaking of landing on planets, there is an atmosphere present on a lot of these different locations, and that means you're going to be an atmospheric flight model. And we know that ships that look more like planes, like the Gladius, are going to fly much better in atmosphere. So if you're a very non-wing designed ship, like the Hull series, you could have a hard time controlling your ship on the way down. It shouldn't be impossible, but I wouldn't expect it to be a smooth flight, and you're probably not going to be doing any fancy maneuvering. Now, I think the Hull C is probably a bit better suited for more dangerous missions, but it will still lack durability and protection. So the 2 turrets can only really help to keep you protected, but it doesn't make it a flying fortress either. Keep in mind that unless you just want to take a mission to move cargo from A to B for someone else, if you want to play the economy and buy goods low and sell them high at a different location, you're going to have to pony up for that cargo out of your own credits, which is going to be very expensive when you start talking thousands of SCUs on the Hull C. Now, if your only ship is a Hull C at launch, you may not be able to fill it up with your credits right away, so be prepared to haul goods in the interim to kind of save up the funds that are necessary. You also need to be aware that you're going to be a huge target in low security areas. People know that you're carrying a lot of goods, people know that you're not able to really defend yourself, and you've invested a lot to carry the goods that you are carrying, so you need to be prepared to hire escorts. Otherwise, you need to be very smart. Stick to safe areas, get scouting from people, get information, and basically just know that if you're flying somewhere without an escort, you need to probably be able to get somebody there quickly via a distress call. Now, there's a lot of caveats to the Hull line, but if sheer cargo moving ability is your idea of gameplay, it's really something you need to strongly consider when making your purchasing decision on what ships you should be hauling cargo with. So we're going to go ahead and drop the price back down a bit closer to that $100 mark, and we're going to talk about a ship that initially I thought was an interesting option, but with the rework taking place, we need more information because I can't really say that it fits this category, and that's the Cutlass Black. The Cutlass was initially supposed to be a nimble semi-fighter that's cargo capable and really designed with piracy in mind, but that piracy in mind also kind of catered towards overall versatility in the ship. The design and balance of the ship was challenging to implement, so the Buccaneer was developed to take on that pirate nimble fighter role, stealing that piece from the Cutlass. That left the Cutlass in a weird place. So as part of the rework, it looks to be more of a heavy brawler or like a semi-gunboat, but still with cargo carrying ability. The idea is that this ship is going to be the component that provides the heavy firepower in a piracy operation and the ability to actually walk away with the cargo inside on it. So basically what we're talking about is we've got a ship that's grown considerably and the interior layout has changed. So it's hard to know what that cargo number is going to be set at. It was initially supposed to carry 32 SCU, but who knows where that's going to be when they end up finishing the rework. So I'll just say this and then move on. If you want a ship that's capable of carrying some cargo but not huge amounts, is more than capable of defending itself, and has versatility into other roles, then you should keep your eye on the changes to the Cutlass Black. It should have decent range, significant firepower, and based on where it is today in Arena Commander, pretty good durability. So it makes an interesting option for carrying cargo in low security space without the risk associated with a more traditional cargo hauler. The Black is currently sold at $100, but with more guns, bigger size, and better durability, I'm expecting the price on that to increase to what, I don't know, but it will likely be more expensive down the line. So you're kind of in an interesting place. Do you buy the Cutlass now, trying to get the lower price? Or do you wait to see what it becomes later, and then if it meets your needs, then all of a sudden you buy it, but it comes at a higher price? That's something you need to kind of consider. What I would probably do is, if this is the price range you're looking at, you just kind of need to look at the other options and see. I don't know if I would jump in at this point if pure cargo is what you have in mind, but if versatility with some cargo ability is something that you're kind of more valuing, then I think it's an interesting option. Now, in that same price range, we have one of my favorite ships in the game, and that's the Freelancer at $110. The Freelancer is sort of like the pickup truck of the verse. It's capable of carrying 52 SCU of cargo with room for up to 4 people. Now, I don't ever suggest taking 4 as you don't really need it and you're just going to be increasing your operating cost, but I think having a pilot and a multi-role person for a total of 2 makes a lot of sense. That multi-role person could probably operate scanners in general, could jump in the turret if trouble ends up showing up, and then when you do land can help you to load and unload cargo to speed things up. Now, having more people can increase your effectiveness or efficiency, but you just kind of have to decide how many make sense with what you're hauling and where you're going. The ship does handle pretty well. It's relatively durable. It has, as far as the weapons go, 4 size 3s on the side, plus a turret, meaning it's not anything to sneeze at on the weapon side. To add to that, the wings carry a large amount of missiles, which are nice deterrents for anyone that's coming your way. And unlike the Hull B, you have enough maneuverability to deal with some of the fighters that are actually coming if you can manage your range so they're not like staying on your tail. But you could at least hold your own in those types of situations. I don't think you're going to be fighting off large numbers, but I think you should be able to probably be able to get out of a bad situation if needed. You do carry your cargo interior on this ship, so you can keep it better protected if you're doing things like smuggling, or maybe you just don't want the pirates to see visually what you have, and it's probably going to be a little bit harder to scan the interior of the ship, at least it should be. The Freelancer has long range, good cargo ability, and strong defenses, which make it all a really, really strong option, and that's not even including the flexibility you see and how it could end up being equipped to do other roles outside of cargo like exploration. Now, there is a second Freelancer to talk about here, being the Freelancer Max. It has a larger body, a bigger power plant, and 2 more engines, which takes the cargo total to 123 SCU for $30 more. The Max is one ship that I'm very excited about and is probably going to be the version that I end up turning my Freelancer into. The Max does have a slightly smaller shield, so if you're going to be, doing more dangerous things, it's not going to be as durable as the base Freelancer. And you have a larger cross-section, which means that you're more likely to take more damage from incoming threats. You also carry fewer missiles on this option, so it's less capable of dealing damage as well. That being said, the Max strikes a pretty great balance in my mind between cargo capacity and survivability, and should open up a lot of transport options at a pretty good price range. If the old information ends up holding up, and this has changed a couple times, CIG stated that the Freelancer could be the largest ship that would be able to fit through the smallest jump point, which means that the Max would be maximizing your ability to go the shortest route with the most cargo. The last ship to discuss in this video is the Constellation Taurus at $150, and the Taurus is built on the same platform as the Andromeda, but at a much lower cost, and it drops some of the options that it has in favor of hauling more goods, carrying 236 SCU. You lose the snub-nosed fighter in the back, so that cargo bay is extended, and you lose the bottom turret in favor of a shielded cargo section, which should make some of those items very hard to scan, or maybe impossible. So if smuggling interests you, or if you want to carry like diamonds or something super valuable in the shielded area, and then potatoes in the back, people may not think you have anything valuable, and assume basically you're just like a glorified produce box truck. The Constellation line flies well. It's a bit sluggish based on its size, but it handles fairly well. Durability is pretty good, though the shields are smaller on the other than on the other Constellation, so the Taurus is a little bit weaker. And the range should be great with high efficiency engines placed on this model. Weapons-wise, you have 1 turret on the top with good-sized weapons, and you can place up to 4 size 4 fixed weapons that are forward-facing for the pilot to control. So you're able to protect yourself to some extent, but you're a big target with the average durability and only decent maneuverability. It's not going to be a great fighter, so you probably do need some level of protection depending on where you're going. Not the same level of dependency as something like the Hull series, but enough to make you think about it. And as far as the crew goes, I think you can easily get by with a pilot and maybe a roamer, kind of like we talked about on the Freelancer. But with this being a bigger, slower ship with more systems, I would personally opt to have 3 people on this ship. Now, where things get interesting is when you start to compare this to the Freelancer Max. You're talking about a $10 price difference between 2 ships that could really, should be able to be crewed with 2 people, can both land on planets, both have decent armaments, but the Taurus is capable of carrying almost twice what the Freelancer Max can do. Now, neither ship is flyable at the moment, so we have to wait and see what the distinction will be between them, because they have to balance the capability to the price. I'm hoping they end up sticking to the Freelancer being the biggest through the smallest points, because that would leave the Taurus to medium points and provides value to the similarly priced Freelancer. But outside of that, I think what you're getting is an easier ship to manage with lower cost and more ability to fight and flee with the Freelancer Max, and a more cargo carrying ability and smuggling ability in the more durable Taurus. But again, we're going to have to kind of wait and see, but time will tell. Whew, so there you have it. That's my list of recommended Tier 2 cargo ships. If you guys have other opinions, please get them in the comments. I think some people are probably going to say they like the Andromeda for dangerous cargo missions, and I would agree. But you know, put them in the comments so we can chat there. I appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned for more Tier 2 videos, specifically with combat and exploration coming soon, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.